Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to our second Caring for Country online event. Today we've got the Dja Wurrung Clans Aboriginal Corporation and the Victorian Aboriginal Heritage Council. I too want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of all the lands we are meeting on today, and I'm here in sunny Northcote, which is on the land of the Wurrung people, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. As some of you would know, IPA Victoria is a member-driven organisation which connects, empowers and celebrates Victoria's public purpose sector. And today's event and the Caring for Country series is part of that mission. So together with our Aboriginal Advisory Committee, we want to provide a safe and inclusive space for traditional owners and the public purpose sector to work together and enable Aboriginal self-determination. So thank you for joining us, especially if this is your first IPA Victoria event. And as Kim said earlier, we've had over 300 people registered for this event. In fact, I would probably say close to 400 people. I particularly welcome those of you from other states and territories, and we're very grateful that you've made the time to attend. As an organisation, we are proud of who we are and what we offer, so please take the time to visit our website and even consider joining as a member. So I'd like to now hand over to the host for this afternoon, Suzanne Coats. And Suzanne's a proud Yorta woman, and she's also Principal Policy Officer, Aboriginal Self-Determination at the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. So welcome, Suzanne, and I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I will start with an acknowledgement of country. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be your host today on Wurrung country. And as such, I'd like to pay my respects to the countries we're all on today as Aboriginal lands. I pay my respect to the elders, past and also present with us today. This is the second second webinar in the Caring for Country series, which includes 3 online regionally focused events during September and October this year. The series is an opportunity to hear from traditional owners and those advocating on behalf of traditional owners across Victoria. It's a proud partnership between IPA Victoria and the Victorian Aboriginal Heritage Council. The conversation is about traditional owners being enabled to achieve self-determination and take control of their cultural heritage. At the event, we'll hear from Dja Wurrung Clans Aboriginal Corporation, and in that light, I'd like to join those who are joining in online today. John Marshall-Say, Program Manager, Cultural Heritage at Dja Wurrung Clans Aboriginal Corporation. John is an experienced archaeologist and IT guru, from what I understand, who is undertaking his PhD at Flinders University. And also joining us today is Mick Harding, a proud Tanarong man from the Yurrung and Yurrung clans. Mick is a member of the Aboriginal Heritage Council, and many of you will know a deadly and renowned artist. So before we start the conversation with John, I'd like to invite Mick to say a few words about what Caring for Country means for the Victorian Aboriginal Heritage Council. Mick?
Thank you, Suzanne. I might just start by saying a few words as well before I go to that. So Wawagi Yamago, Yawang Ilam Balok, Nadarak Balok, Takong Wurrung Guling. So what I just said was hello and greetings to everybody. I exclaimed that I'm part of two clan groups. I'm connected to 2 clan groups within the Tanarong people, and of course I'm a man. So having said that, look, I suppose for the Heritage Council, there are some fairly simple ways to look at caring for country. Caring for country really is about enabling, allowing those traditional owners from that country to protect, to express, to articulate, to be in charge of their country and how it's cared for, and for them to share what they believe is for them to share with whomever. So that's probably in simple terms. And we look in our charter, the Heritage Council's charter under the Act. You know, we have a responsibility to for awareness and education for everybody in Victoria, not just ourselves. And so that probably really is where this kind of thing lies. We do, and we have done for the past 15 or whatever years council's been around to make aware what cultural heritage is, who it belongs to, how you should engage. So we've done loads and loads of different things with different people, different stakeholders over those years, and we'll continue to do that because that's one of the really big ongoing issues we need to do to make everyone aware of cultural heritage and to not be scared of it, to embrace it. I think that should be enough from me.
Thank you, Mick, and thanks, to the Victorian Aboriginal Heritage Council for partnering with us in this series. It's such an important role that you have in terms of, bringing culture forward and truly conveying that culture is not just about heritage. It's about the lives and identity for so many mobs across Victoria. Now, everyone, we want this session to be as interactive as possible. To do that, and as Kim's mentioned, we have a Q&A box and toolbar below. So you can ask questions at any time by typing them in the Q&A panel. And as you see questions, coming up, please vote, and that will certainly help us when John and Mick are invited into panel in terms of making the most of our time there. So yeah, look, I'd like to now move us on to a presentation by John. John.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank you, everybody. I'd like to add I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country that everybody is on today. I'd like to acknowledge their elders, past, present, and those emerging. Excuse me while I find my slides. Today I'm talking to you from Kaurna country in South Australia, so I'd like to acknowledge the elders of the Kaurna people. So what I'd like to talk to you today about is the Wurrung Aboriginal Clans Corporation, tell you a bit about who we are, about how we go about caring for country. So I'd like to start off with telling you a bit about who we are as a corporation. The Wurrung Clans Aboriginal Corporation was formed in 2004 to support the interests and well-being of the Wurrung people. It was appointed as the registered Aboriginal party for Wurrung country in 2008. And in 2013, the corporation and the Victorian government signed the recognition and settlement agreement for Wurrung country. As of today, we have approximately 400 members. Alongside the corporation is JANDAC, which is our wholly owned commercial arm of the corporation. JANDAC came into being in 2012 and, as I said, is the commercial arm involved in natural resource management, cultural services, landscaping, and carrying out a number of projects which I'll discuss a bit later. So where are we? Wurrung country is in central Victoria. Our offices are in Bendigo, although we cover the whole of our country with regard to the work that we do. The earliest evidence for the Wurrung people being on country in material form is 30,000 years old. Obviously, we go back further than that. In the early 1840s, there were 16 identified clans within the Wurrung people, but as of today, present members of the Wurrung trace themselves back to 11 apical ancestors. This is a better view of country. As you can see, we extend up to Lake Bort, we extend down as far as Creswick and almost to Ballarat, and out to the west past St Arnaud, and along the east we're bounded by the Campaspe River. So what sort of country do we have? Wurrung country extends in the from the north, where it's flat riverine plains which extend up towards the River Murray. As we travel south, the country becomes the uplands, lots of granite hills and peaks. This is a photo on a property owned by the Wurrung to the east of Harcourt. And what you can see there is part of a stone arrangement which represents Mindy the serpent, who is an important part of Wurrung culture. We also have historical sites of importance on country. The Loddon Aboriginal Station was the protectorate station set up once the Wurrung people were being dispossessed of their land by the pastoralists in the early 1840s. Today, the only building remaining is the church that was on site. The Wurrung people own the grounds on which the original schoolhouse for the protectorate station was situated. We also have contemporary urban sites which are of importance to the Wurrung people. This is Roslyn Park in the centre of Bendigo. This is the location of the signing of our Recognition and Settlement Agreement in 2013. And the photo was taken at the 5-year celebration of the signing of the RSA. Another aspect of Wurrung country, which we have to grapple with quite a bit in our caring for country, is what we call upside down country. Large parts of Wurrung country still show the scars of the gold mining which took place from the mid-1900s onward. The left photo shows the sort of pockmarked moonscape from the early diggings. And as you can see on the right, this later became quite deep excavations which have scarred the country. Wurrung people refer to this as upside down country because basically the miners over the years turned the country upside down in their search for the subsurface gold that was there. Key to our caring for country is our country plan. Del Kunyaja. This plan was written in the early 2000s initially and then redrafted in 2014 to keep up with the progress that the Wurrung were making in regard to achieving some of their goals. So the plan has 9 main goals to it. Looking after our people, the health and well-being and education of our members, looking at strengthening, revitalising our cultural practice and customs, looking after cultural heritage, reintroducing bush tucker and traditional medicines and the knowledge of those to our people, cleaning up our waterways and rivers and bringing them back to a living state. And point 6 with land is what we spoke about earlier. It's about trying to address the damage done with upside down country. Self-determination is a strong goal. Traditional owner economy, providing jobs for Wurrung people through the corporation and through JANDAC, And the last goal is joint management of Crown land within Djadja Wurrung country. So I'd like to now run through a few of the projects that we have underway, which are focused strongly on how we care for country. So Tang Swamp is an important wetland in the northern part of our country. It has a lot of cultural heritage sites around its margins, and most of the time it has been, I guess, a sort of dried out swamp. At the beginning of 2020, the staff at Jandak, as part of their work, raised the outflow from the swamp to ensure that cultural watering occurred. This is to allow the reintroduction of native species and native plant life around the swamp. This photo was taken post rewatering, and it certainly shows a lot healthier landscape than was there previously. Another major project which is being run by Jandak in cooperation with and collaboration with DELT, La Trobe University, Federation University, Ag Victoria, and the Northern Central Catchment Management Authority, is Kundicha, which is kangaroo grass. The aim is to reintroduce kangaroo grass back onto country in hopefully a commercial form. At the moment, we're engaged on a 4-year pilot project working with these other bodies to undertake pilot plantings around Djadja Wurrung country to bring this kangaroo grass back and to test the viability as a crop. Kangaroo grass was a staple for Djadja Wurrung people, used to make a form of flour. It's also been noted post the European invasion that it was also very good fodder for the sheep and cattle, and was prized by some of the farmers. Along with this, we have another project running, which is our Yam Paddock Project in collaboration with La Trobe University, which is looking at the reintroduction and reinvigoration of the Murnong daisy, which is the traditional yam eaten by the Djadja Wurrung and other people across Victoria. This is being done in conjunction with our Women's Knowledge Group. And it goes beyond just the reintroduction of the daisy, but also looking at other plants used for foodstuffs and resources. Wanyaram Delk is a big challenge for the Djadja Wurrung people. Over the course of the mining years, most of the waterways in central Victoria were well and truly silted up by the mining sludge. The banks were degraded. In some parts of country, the original surface of country is 3 or 4 metres below a deposited layer of sludge. So Wanyaram Delk is a project in which we're trying to bring back some of the natural features along places like Bendigo Creek, which you can see in the 2 pictures here. The top one shows a before and after of the reintroduction of billabongs or frog ponds along a section of Bendigo Creek. The bottom picture is, or the bottom 3 pictures are a series of ponds which have been put up at Knights Road, at White Hills, showing the ground before and the subsequent works to reinstall these ponds, to reintroduce native plantings around the edges of the waterways, and then to encourage the native life back. I've been informed by our people that since these latter ponds went up at the beginning of this year, that the frogs are quite audible through these near water holes. This project, Yam Paddock, also aligns with a project which we're engaged with the City of Greater Bendigo, which is a reimagining of the Bendigo Creek. And that there's been a lot in the news, I guess, recently about native burning, about cultural burning of property. Jandak, we as our contribution to this, once again run through our commercial arm, who have a number of fire management vehicles and are in the process of obtaining their own fire truck for this work. And something of real significance to us are the Wurrung parks. Under the recognition and settlement agreement that was signed in 2013, something like, well, 6 parks initially were returned to Aboriginal title for the Wurrung people to manage. And those 6 parks are shown here. They cover quite extensive areas of the national parks within Wurrung country. In 2014, the Delkanya Land Management Board was formed to oversee the development of the joint management plan for this, for these parks, and to oversee the ongoing operation. The board consists of a number of Wurrung representatives, along with representatives from Parks Victoria and from the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. Wurrung has the controlling numbers on the committee. As I said, the board first met in 2014-15, and over 3 years has developed the joint management plan for the ongoing management, maintenance and development of these parks. The implementation of the plan commenced earlier this year. Apart from working out on what's normally seen as country, we also have a lot of input into caring for country within the urban regions of Bendigo. Jandak are currently involved in a number of projects. The Bendigo TAFE redevelopment in Bendigo, where we are working alongside the developers there to include landscaping, to include artwork. A key feature of this will be a representation of the Wurrung seasonal calendar, which will include plantings of native plants, as well as developing themes which relate to the seasonal use of country by the Wurrung people. Likewise, Bendigo Law Court Precinct, working in collaboration with the developers and designers to incorporate Wurrung motifs and native landscape. The same applies to the Gub Hub development in Bendigo, and also we've been heavily involved with the Bendigo Council and working on the White Hills Botanic Gardens, where a new information centre and areas being developed. This once again will reflect Wurrung country through the seasonal character and through specific plantings to reflect that. We also have a lot of other projects going on. Those are just some of the major ones that we work on. We also work within the community. We're working with JARA, the Wurrung people, with community groups and other agencies to create shared cultural landscapes under what we call walking together. So look at making the general community more aware of what the Wurrung people perceive within the landscape, and working with them to once again reinvigorate the landscape, to bring back species which have disappeared from the landscape, both animal and vegetation. So that's the presentation. Thank you for listening. As I said, we do have a lot of other projects on the go, as well as our statutory obligations in the caring for the tangible and intangible cultural heritage of the Dja Dja Wurrung people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, for your presentation. And I only imagine what amount of energy and focus that all of that work brings the corporation. So I would imagine that there's never a dull day. Now, just to move us on, I can see we've got some questions and answers coming into our Q&A box, some in regard to the Wurrung project that John mentioned, and in particular, there's another question there with regard to Castlemaine. So in that light, I'd like us to now come into our the Q&A component, where we get to draw Mick and John into your questions. So please feel free to start peppering those questions into the box. Now, John, just with regard to the Wurrung project, we do have an interest from an Aboriginal woman who's out there in Dja Dja Wurrung country. You know, how open is that project to the general public? I know it's potentially led through the women's group for Dja Dja Wurrung. So did you want to give us some more information about that particular project or the group? Or sorry, it's in the context of the Femida and the Kangaroo Grass project.
Yeah, I think probably for Georgia, if she would like to make contact with the office, they'll be able to put her on to Auntie Marilyn, who's coordinating the women's group, and she'll be able to provide the information in depth. I should explain that this project is being run primarily through the commercial arm, so I sit on the corporation side of things. Just looking at the other question there about Columnar Park, that is actually one of the areas which is being a direct focus of the Walking Together program that I spoke about. So yes, we are working in that region as well, and that's part of the parks that we have a high interest in through there. So not only are we doing major projects, our guys are also involved in a lot of general revegetation work and working in conjunction with Parks Victoria on a lot of their land around country.
John, I can see that we have a general question about resources for the community coming out of Dja Dja Wurrung, and I know you've got a really deadly website, and you talk about, you know, the business of the corporation, which have to look after the many interests on behalf of its membership, and then there's also JANDAC, which handles your enterprise opportunities and development opportunities. Do you have resources, you know, for the community?
At the moment, I guess it's by direct inquiry, Suzanne. We don't at the moment have a library, but sort of that's available to the public. There are a lot of works out there which do deal with the Dja Dja Wurrung people. Bain Atwood, who's a well-known author of material on Aboriginal culture, has written at least one book on focusing on the history of the Dja Dja Wurrung. There's also a gentleman, John Morrison, who has put together Edgar Morrison, who put together some of the papers from the early days of the Loddon Protectorate Station, as well as other locations around Dja Dja Wurrung country, and that should be available in the library.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I'd like to draw Mick into the conversation and particularly to focus us back around cultural heritage in itself. Mick, you were talking about cultural heritage from the perspective of your role as one of the council members. I wanted to take it to a more personal level, and I want to ask you, what does caring for country mean for you?
Great question, Suzanne. Look, I was just reflecting on some of the things that John had said, and I can see some of the things that Judge Wurrung are doing very similar to what we're doing. We've got a relationship with the Euroa Arboretum, which is an outstanding area of, where people have taken it upon themselves to regenerate areas within the Arboretum with native species and test and trial different things to see what grows and where it grows and if fire or how you use fire. Plus they sell plants and all that kind of stuff. But look, having said that, look, caring for country is a host of things really to me. It is things like dancing on country, singing on country, talking to country, going out to the river, to the Goulburn, the Wurrung, and fishing or catching things. It's about just being present on country. It's about being with the rest of the mob, doing things, having fun, and it also is about being concerned about the physical things that impinge the types of developments that impinge on our history, our tangible history, and how we get to have a say in the cultural heritage management planning and permit processes, how we get to participate in that and allow people to access areas and or inhibit them from going in places because of their importance. So it's a vast array of things. I suppose you could call it a rainbow of different things that is caring for country, and I like to think that we are actively working on the rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Mick, and that's a beautiful perspective that you're sharing with us as a traditional owner, a proud Tanarong man, and might I add, an incredible leader for your people. John, in that context, of caring for country, on behalf of the Dja Dja Wurrung people, how does your role in particularly leading the cultural heritage program, how does that make you feel sort of day to day? Because I imagine there's inherent challenges, but also that amazing privilege.
Yeah, thanks, Suzanne. Yes, my role is primarily involved with I guess the statutory side of things, with overseeing development and cultural heritage permits and compliance issues. As a non-Aboriginal person, I feel quite privileged and honoured to be employed by Dja Dja Wurrung for the last 4 years. I see culture as being very important to everyone, no matter what your culture is. For me, culture is who we are, where we came from, and it directs the way that we go in the future. And, I really feel it's important for Aboriginal culture to be brought back to its rightful place in Australian society and for it to be strengthened. So, yeah, I'm really happy and thrilled to be working with the Dja Dja Wurrung people.
I really genuinely, look, as an Aboriginal woman, really genuinely engage with what you're saying about drawing from the strength. I know many of us Aboriginal people, us mob, you know, we view ourselves as coming from a place of strength, and country and the health of country is beneficial not only for mob but for all of us. And so I really hear what you're saying there, John. I'm going to go back to the Q&A box, because people are voting up the one that we've got about or from regenerative farmers, and you know, they're keen to interact with Dja Dja Wurrung to exchange practices that can be used in that process. How do you recommend, and I might just throw this to whichever of you want to answer it, but how do you recommend we make contact and meaningfully engage? Because this one would go to, you know, the Tanarong people as well as the Dja Dja Wurrung people.
From our point of view, Suzanne, I've just put up on the chat the 2 web addresses for the corporation and for JANDAC. And I hope that will also answer questions about private cultural burning. So that's probably the easiest way, is to drop through our general info emails. Probably for the regenerative farming practice, if you contact JANDAC rather than the main corporation, because JANDAC are the guys that are doing all the work out on country.
Mick, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that, just, you know, with your interests?
Look, we our corporation, Tanarong Land and Waters Corporation, we've just signed off on our recognition and settlement agreement, and we're just currently starting to implement that agreement. But there is a natural resource management team in the corporation, and we will have an arm that's very similar to JANDAC that will deal with the same sorts of issues as time goes by. As I said, you know, we've got that partnership with Wurrung Arboretum, and I take it that we'll be using, making that partnership much stronger as time goes by, as we have projects to rehabilitate areas of country and do some of the things like John said about the Wurrung paddock and the Kangaroo Grass and all these types of things. You know, whatever we feel is appropriate. We've got we've got a little patch of land that was almost essentially given back to us. We're doing some stuff on that. You know, sort of looking to see whether we can replant that with indigenous species. It's up in the King River Valley, and yeah, so we're beginning that road around that kind of stuff now. Whether it's private or commercial, time will tell. But yeah, we're doing a bit as well.
I know that I can see that we've got a fair bit of interest with regard to the cultural burning, and I wanted to add that you know, a core group of fire practitioners, and I can unfortunately say that I've had some experiences there, but a core group of traditional owners have been supported to come together to develop a piece around you know, traditional or cultural burning, whichever, you know, you want to call it, and that's, you know, really encouraged by whatever the mobs wish to call it themselves in their specific country, but there is a strategy, and so that's a really fantastic piece as a starting piece to engage about what the dialogue is with regard to cultural burning. And when we protect our country and heal our country through fire or right fire, we know that we're inherently protecting our biodiversity and also those amazing heritage sites that exist across country. And so just thinking about the we and the burning practices of the Dja Dja Wurrung people, John, is your cultural practices intersecting, particularly fire or other, intersecting with the protection of heritage and sites?
Yes, certainly, Suzanne. We have quite a close liaison with our guys that are involved in the burns, and also with Parks Vic with their burning programs that they have to help identify areas of concern when it comes to on-country burns. So from my side of the operation, yeah, we're very heavily engaged in the protection of the cultural heritage that's out there when that's taking place.
Yeah, fantastic. And it just really, in what you're saying, demonstrates that living element and living aspect of country, and how important it is for Dja Wurrung people to be on country and you know, implementing and living their practices daily, and the benefits of that, not only for our species but also for our beautiful history and their beautiful history. We do have we have seven votes against. I'm interested to know whether Dja Wurrung were involved in the World Heritage bid for the Central Victorian Goldfields, and what the feeling is in general about this bid. That one I'll throw to you, John.
Okay. I think we've been involved on the periphery of that at the moment. The main thrust for that bid came through the councils involved within the region. We have had some input. I'm actually a member of the Bendigo Council's Heritage Advisory Committee, who have been heavily involved in that. Obviously, one of our, not so much concerns, but one of the things which the Dja Wurrung clans would like to see incorporated in that is a lot more recognition of the part that Aboriginal people played and how they were affected during the gold rush. So we'll certainly be pushing for those aspects of it to be brought out in the World Heritage bid.
And John, we've got another one here, and Mick, you, with your lengthy experience in heritage management processes, you could chime in too. It's about what you do every day, you know, as many of our audience are very keen and walk country and in their day-to-day roles. What do you do if you find something out there?
I guess the first thing is leave it. Please contact us, contact Aboriginal Victoria are the two areas, I guess, sort of for contact. If it's something you've got on your property that you're not sure of, we're always happy to come out and have a look at things and let you know whether what you found is cultural heritage or not. But yes, certainly you are required to let people know if you see something out there that you think may be cultural heritage. And we're always eager for people to report anything they see, because it obviously builds our knowledge of what's out on country, and once we know it's there, it makes it easier to protect.
Yeah, thank you, John. And Mick, did you have anything to add to that about encountering culture or when you're out on country?
Yeah, look, I might just, from Heritage Council's perspective, I might just say that no matter what it is, if you go to the Heritage Council website, you'll be able to see which RAP is in whatever area that you might have located the item, and you'll have all the details there to talk to the person. There's also maps there that give you an idea about where the location of the registered Aboriginal party is, the RAP. Look, I think I just want to just go back. There is also a section in the Heritage Act that talks about intangible stuff.
Yep.
Covers up on all these other things that have been spoken about, and it's about essentially it's about the recording and protecting process in regards to those things. So they can be stories. They can be those things that you might not be really able to put your physical hand on. And so the great thing about that is it's enabling registered Aboriginal party traditional owner groups to think outside just the physical things that are there, and how they might want to protect what is theirs, you know, and how people might access it, how people might be able to use it or understand it. So, but look, cultural heritage, it's, you know, I've been involved for about 30 odd years, and you know, it's always been about how do you protect a particular area, how do you involve stakeholders, how do you get to try and make people understand the importance of things and places. It's about engagement. It's about this kind of stuff, about engaging with people, and about, you know, having that yarn with people.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. The intangibles aspect is a truly important bit, and it was a latter inclusion in the amendments of the Act that, you know, our culture is not just a physical manifestation or thing. There's many ways that our culture manifests itself, and also emerging ways in the contemporary context that we engage and must, you know, also be respected. I can see that there's interest in finding out more based on what you've just said, Mick. So for those wanting to know, it's DPC's Aboriginal Victoria site. There's a wealth of information there. There's a fantastic interactive map. And for those of you wanting to actually get more experience or in understanding whose country you're on, you know, what an acknowledgement might be, that ACRES interactive map will allow you to identify what country you're on, and also to support you in providing acknowledgements of country, which is a lovely way to, you know, to get started if you're new to finding out more information about traditional owners in Victoria, particularly those who are formally recognised. I will acknowledge that, you know, wherever you're standing in Victoria, you're on Aboriginal land. So if you're not finding the traditional owners, you know, country listed there are traditional owners, and, you know, the staff in AV can help, and Aboriginal Victoria can help you. Now, just going back to our Q&A, we do have one, another one with regards to fire, and I think I won't concentrate so much on the fire aspect on it, but possibly just the more sort of contentious or conflict view that, you know, the Dja Wurrung people may wish for something to happen one way, and, you know, the government may do it in another way. John, I was wondering if you wanted to talk about how Dja Wurrung and often the land managers do handle the management of country, and you know, the importance of the recognition and settlement agreement to that relationship.
Yeah, that's a very hairy question. We would like to think that we're developing our rapport with all of the agencies who we work with. With some it's quicker than others. With things like the cultural burning, that people like Parks Vic, we have ranger teams, a Dja Wurrung ranger team embedded in Parks Victoria. I think we're gradually, as I said, getting better liaison with the different government agencies, and I think especially things like cultural burning, you know, with the events over the last couple of years with bushfires and that, there's been a lot more, I guess, credence given to the traditional ways of burning country, and that's really helping the case for discussing these issues with people who are looking at more traditional fire regimes. Suzanne?
Yeah, thank you. And I think that sort of segues to a question I wanted to throw to either yourself or Mick with regard to what needs to occur at a government level and legislatively to help traditional owners better care for country. So John or Mick, just do you have any views about what you know, what needs to occur?
And do you want to take the lead on that one, Mick?
Look, yes, thanks, John. Look, I just wanted to go back to what you just was talking about in terms of fire and traditional burning practices and stuff. I've been involved with many wildfire events to do with cultural heritage and cultural heritage recording after the event over the years. And look, I recall one time driving out from a place called Whitfield back to Wangaratta to stay for the weekend, and we noticed there was two huge groups of DELP people managing a burn. It was in sort of in the autumn time of autumn, and I exclaimed to the guy I was with, the archaeologist with, that what is taking a fleet of human beings and bits and pieces to only used to take maybe a family or a clan group of people to do this kind of thing today. So, having said that, the values that we had back before colonisation was about looking after the country, and so the values today about how the things when a burn goes in today, the types of values that have to be to be recognised and afforded some respect and some protection are vastly different in some ways, but still much the same in trying to protect people's lives and livelihoods. But I think really it's about this kind of things about a conversation, and it's about it's about integrating different techniques of science. Our traditional ways of knowing were and are still science, and so trying to marry them up with the way in which the way the government deals with fire today. As long as people are committed, they might need to be committed, but if people are committed to that, for the long term and the long haul, I think we can achieve great things, because our forests have changed, so putting fire in it, regeneration fire back in it, is going to take time for it to change back to something how it might have been. I don't know you only know if you get there when you get there, I suppose, is the simple way of looking at that type of thing. But and I've completely forgotten what you asked me, Suzanne, in terms of the other one, but I was really interested to sort of try and share that.
No, it's just such an important perspective, Mick, that I think sometimes where there's perceived conflict as well, it might be just a difference of knowledge system that we're looking at, and just looking, and we know through the Royal Commissions that are underway and other investigations that there's just so much going on with regard to the view of the benefit of different knowledge systems, and in particular our knowledge system. And yeah, the landscape has changed, and we certainly do acknowledge that as well. And I think of a quote that you gave, Mick. It was something like, "Our children's future, our culture, your culture." That we're in it, that we're in it together sort of theme, and I really appreciate that inclusiveness you have as a leader. Look, I can't believe the time's already up. It's been so lovely to talk to both of you, and I want to just say I'm sorry to the audience for not getting through all the amazing questions that have been posed, some of them challenging, which I think John and Mick tackled very well. So look, thank you to Mick and John for the discussion. We really look forward to contacting the audience with a reschedule for the Caring for Country event with Wurrung Land Council, which unfortunately had to be postponed last week. But before I fully wrap up, I just wanted to check in with Mick and John as to whether or not there was anything or any closing remarks you'd like to make.
Look, I think I'd just like to say thank you to IPA for the opportunity to get on and talk about Djadja Wurrung country. As I said, as a white fellow, I feel it a real honour and privilege to be asked to represent the corporation. So thank you for that opportunity, and thank you for all of the comments that I've seen coming through on the on the chat. That's really great.
Suzanne, I might just say thank you to everyone, you know, to everyone that's sort of been part of the organisation, yourself, to the people that are listening in. But look, I might just add that for those people that are, you know, on the cusp or sitting on the fence, don't know what they need to do, I'll just say this, that reconciliation starts with a conversation. It starts with one conversation and or one cup of tea or one cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be steeped with rocket science. It's really simple stuff. We get to know you, you get to know us. So contact the local people, contact Dja Wurrung, you know, contact whoever it is that you're in your country, in your area, and have a conversation with them and try and engage with them in some way, shape or form. And I think we'll all be the better for it.
Thank you so much, Mick, and thank you so much to both of you. And I know COVID-19 has been a bit prohibitive in terms of our preferred style, which is usually one-on-one. But you know, look, I really look forward to seeing each and every one of you on country and supporting the protection of our beautiful heritage and our beautiful estate here in Victoria. So look, please check out IPA's other events and professional development programs. There's certainly membership opportunities that you'll find on the IPA Victoria website. I'd like to thank you all for attending today and wish you well. Stay safe.